Hello everyone and welcome to the latest blog from bloodyflix.co.uk. I'm the editor Paul Downey. Today I'm going to be talking about the biggest sub at Blockbuster that you probably haven't heard that much about, The Meg. It's a new film from director Jon Turteltaub. It's basically an adaptation of a novel from author Steve Alten. Some horror fans have read the book series. I think there's about 6 books now. I've read the first 4. There's a 6th book soon to be released, I think, called Meg Generations. I think that's the 6th in the series, and then there's going to be another one after that. But this film is basically based around the original story, which is basically about a Megalodon that gets back into the Pacific Ocean, basically, after a breach in something called the Mariana Trench, which is basically one of the deepest points of water in the ocean, and there's basically underneath the floor of the sea there is a prehistoric kind of habitat where a lot of species that were thought extinct basically are still alive, one of them being the Megalodon. And as the series goes on, we find out a few more bigger species are still alive. But in terms of the film, yeah, basically this is focused around what we're thinking is probably about a 75-foot Megalodon, which would be a full size, not sure if it's a male or a female at this stage, shark that escapes that sort of captivity and then basically goes on a bit of a rampage. The book is played a bit more seriously than what we've seen in the trailer so far. What we're looking at here is it's kind of been turned on its head a little bit, and it's made to look a lot more fun. It's got that kind of blockbuster feel to it. I mean, we've had films. I mean, Avengers obviously stole the march on the competition by releasing in April. We've recently had the Han Solo film that didn't do very well. But other than really Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, we haven't really got that much else in terms of big monster movies as such that are coming out this year. So the Meg's coming out in August, so it could be a good opportunity to kind of to make a good killing at the box office, and it does have franchise potential because surprisingly it's one of them book series that I know from reading the first 4 books that it does actually keep you interested, because they add new kind of strands to the plot. We kind of find out a lot more about the way the Megalodons operate, and how they kind of adapt to a kind of 2018, say for example. But the crux of it is basically that a scientist, Jonas Taylor, who's going to be played by Jason Statham, saw the Megalodon when he was on a trek into the Mariana Trench years ago, and basically became this cook who was like, he's kind of almost a bit Dr. Loomis-esque, kind of, very ranty and saying that obviously that this monster is still down there and we need to do something about it just in case it does ever break free and obviously cause the havoc that it goes on to cause. It's kind of like he's kind of a step ahead of the game. But after an accident with another dive, where it's a very wealthy park owner basically, who has ideas of his own about what he wants to do with the Megalodon. His daughter basically goes missing down in the trench, and then Jonas has to go and effectively set her free. But in turn, obviously, the Megalodon shows up and chaos ensues, and it could make some really good action scenes. What we do have here is we have the advantage of obviously we've had shark films where we've had big sharks in the past. We've had great whites. Jaws most notably was a 25-foot great white. Some of the sequels I think went a bit larger. I think Jaws 3, I remember being quoted, was a 35-foot great white, which is basically unheard of in science. Whereas the Megalodons, they range from probably up from I think 30 foot as pups up until that probably 75 feet is probably a little bit of a stretch, but at least 60 feet. So we're talking a massive beast, with obviously needs for a massive diet. So the Megalodons were certainly, from what we can gather from the books and from science, is basically that they, being a prehistoric species, would feed on dinosaurs sometimes. Dinosaurs that dinosaurs that were in the sea, things like Mosasaurus that obviously was in Jurassic World and will be in the sequel, and big whales. But they obviously, but that can obviously last them a long time. So it'll be really interesting to see what they kind of do with the material. Obviously, Statham is kind of the builders, the action star, and there's he's kind of part of a motley crew that are basically sent out to basically take this Megalodon out. He wants it destroyed. Some of the others don't. So there's kind of a conflict of agendas here. But as I say, this will be the biggest shark in a summer blockbuster that we've ever seen before. So it'll be quite exciting to see how they handle it. It seems that sharks for films with budget are done quite well now. Certainly from the images that we've seen so far of the shark, there seems to be certainly an attention to detail with it that's lacking in probably what you'd say is kind of the Sharknado series, or the cheap low budget sci-fi-esque low budget shark films that have come in the past. But as we've seen in recent years, films like 47 Meters Down and The Shallows and to an extent Cage Dive have actually gone out their way to try and create sharks that look realistic. And obviously the tricky part here is that we are dealing with a shark that no one's ever really seen in person. We've only ever seen jaw fragments, size of teeth. I remember on a holiday to Whitby a few years ago that I managed to get a tooth of a Megalodon, and it was only it was probably I'd probably say it was about 6 or 7 centimeters, and that was just like a baby tooth. And it was, I mean, obviously being prehistoric, it wasn't sharp or anything like that, but you could see that basically if you had a shark that had a mouthful of them, that's probably got a bite radius of God knows what, that it's going to do some real damage. So yeah, I think it's gone a little bit under the radar so far. It seems to have caught the attention, obviously, of shark fans. It's been covered quite a lot on things like the Daily Jaws blog. I know that we've been sharing pictures on the Bloody Flicks Facebook page, but it'll be really interesting to see how the film turns out, because obviously, if it does well or does pretty well, there is franchise potential there. And as I say, for anyone who's read the books, they know firsthand basically that there are plenty of stories out there that they can tell, obviously budget permitting. So it'll be really interesting to see. So if you're looking forward to the Meg and you think it's going to be that summer blockbuster that you've been missing for a while, and yeah, drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts.